Welcome to DC Prime in Ashburn, Virginia. Known for its quality high-end steaks, mouth-watering lobster mac and cheese, and did I mention its extensive award-winning selections of luxurious wines? DC Prime is hands down the best upscale dining experience in all of Loudoun County. The brains behind this masterpiece of a restaurant is DC Prime owner Rick Crowe. Having over 25 years in the restaurant industry, most notably known for his efforts in kickstarting the franchise P.F. Chang's, Rick Crowe is an expert in the dining business. Today, Rick took time out of his schedule to sit down with me to talk all things business related, but more importantly, how he got to where he is today. Rick, we're here, DC Prime. This is a phenomenal, I feel like it's an experience being here. I mean, the attention to detail, the wine cellars, the cigar lounge, the lights, the wood. There's so much that goes into DC Prime. To you, describe the DC Prime dining experience.
Well, you hit it exactly right. You can go out to eat anywhere and get good food, good service. What's going to bring you back? It becomes an experience. It's from the time you walk in the door. You might go to the right to go to the cigar lounge. You might go down the middle to the bar. You might go to the left and say, I'm having dinner tonight. You have multiple choices, and you can have an experience as opposed to, I just went out to dinner tonight.
Why the name DC Prime? How did this come about?
Unbelievable. So literally, DC Prime we wanted it to be, me personally wanted it to be DC. So I wanted to be able to provide a DC experience outside of DC. I didn't know a lot about Loudoun County when I first started doing this because the property was started in 2012, and then the building started in 2014, finished in 15. So the whole purpose of it was, I spent some time with a crazy little company called P.F. Chang's, so I knew Tyson's and Reston very well. So I'm like, wait, these people are going to DC. Why can't I create something out here that they can still go to DC? I love DC, don't get me wrong, but give you something that, hey, I don't have to plan a whole day around it. I don't have to worry about getting a ride back.
Right.
And it's right here in my own neighborhood.
You said you had a brief history with P.F. Chang's. I feel like you've had, over 25 years in the restaurant industry?
26 years from started off with an independent higher end seafood concept in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. For 9 years during the 90s. Then 13 years in Atlanta. With P.F. Chang's, and I was COO and partner of another high-end steakhouse, which I duplicated this menu after.
Really?
So that's where this came after. And then on to what a friend of mine developed a little bourbon concept down in South Carolina.
Owner of DC Prime. For people who don't know who Rick Crowe is, who is Rick Crowe?
You know, what you see is what you get, right? You know, I love being here. You know, when you come into the building, 99% of the time, you're right. You're gonna see me right away, and you're gonna see me before you leave. I'm gonna shake your hand because you can choose to go anywhere. You chose to come here, and I'm gonna make sure that you have the best time with it. And that is, you know, it's a lifestyle, but you gotta enjoy life. You gotta be a people person. You gotta be able to enjoy what you're doing, and it's coming in every day to me is like it's fun.
Should be. How would you describe, like for somebody who's never been to DC Prime, how would you describe the experience?
Well, you know, the menu was extremely important to me. You know, you got to have great food, you know, but I also wanted to go the next level up and create things that are just fun. I didn't do wait tablecloths because I didn't want it to be too stuffy, but yet you have the elegant atmosphere that goes along with it. And I didn't want to go too contemporary where it was like, so I think it turned into a great medium blend with that. And then, you know, all those food items and things that come through just tie into the experience of what can bring you back. From the service, from you walk in the door, their friendliness, how are you? You'll see most people that come to the door will know your name. You know, we'll get to know you right away. You might have only been here once, 2 years ago. I'm going to remember what you had. I might not remember your name. I'm going to tell you what you ate. I'm going to tell you what you had to drink.
What went into, you know, making sure this was, you know, top of the line food? I want to make sure this is quality. Everything I mean, from the tablecloths to the glasses, everything here, you just think, when you look at it, it's top of the line. What went into that?
It's that same philosophy of surrounding myself with the people, right? So my steaks come out of a family-owned cut house, Chicago. And he sourced the prime beef out of one cattle farm only out of Illinois.
Wow.
It's that specific that people don't see that behind the scenes piece of it. But a lot of time, I've been doing business with him for 16 years now. You know, our seafood comes in every day. The tuna and the sea bass come out of Hawaii. UPS loves me and FedEx loves me because I spend a lot of money. But it's the best of the best. You get it. And so if I'm charging these kind of prices or creating this kind of experience, it better be that good. You know, so making sure that I don't want to be just an operator. I want to be able to provide the experience so that you can experience the experience.
With that experience, you get lobster mac and cheese, you get the cream corn, you get the
lobster bites,
everything that goes into it. But for you, do you have any say-so in the menu creation?
It's my menu.
That's got to be the fun part, right?
Very, very talented chef that really designed it all for me. So I've got the concepts, I got all this, and it takes somebody to execute it for you, whatever the business is. And again, it's all about surrounding yourself with those right people.
How often does the menu change?
You know, here we do it quarterly, but it's only simply seasonal sides. Because when you're in a steakhouse, I mean, steak is a steak, you know, it's got to be the best. When you come now and get that perfect steak, and you come 5 years from now, maybe you move, but you happen to come back for a visit, it needs to be the same.
Exactly. I'm assuming you've tried everything on the menu.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Is there anything that you like more than the other?
You know, people ask me that all the time. Rick, what's your favorite steak? I said all of them. But if I had to pick a steak, I would go straight to a 16-ounce ribeye. I love the marbling. 16 ounces is plenty enough. And I love the way that the fat content marbleizes through the meat when you cook it. So.
Was there any specific background or training necessary for you to get to where you are today?
You know, I'll put it this way. When I first started, I had zero restaurant experience. I grew up playing sports through high school and college, and on the weekends I would do landscaping and jobs. I never worked in a restaurant, ever. I didn't bust tables, I didn't wait, I didn't do anything. And then out of college, I spent a couple years in the banking industry, and I was bored to death. Nothing wrong with the banking industry, I was just bored. And I answered an ad as a manager trainee. My first day in the restaurant business was President's Day, a paid bank holiday, and I was washing dishes as a manager trainee. But I felt the more I put into that, the more I would get out of it. With the bank, it was just about being there year after year after year after year and getting seniority. Right. So that's what drove me. Once I got in and was at the right place at the right time, you know, you can't ever throw that out of the picture. Mm-hmm. And at 24, was a partner in a concept in Charlotte, North Carolina, the high-end seafood concept.
Did you see?
What happened was, to answer your question, is I worked 6 days a week for 6 years and kind of learned it the hard way because I didn't know, but I knew if I poured my heart into it.
When did you actually have the vision of okay, like, hey, I may actually have a future in this restaurant industry and be successful in this industry?
Believe it or not, it's kind of cliche to say this. Literally after about 8 months, after I got into it, I was like, man, I really like this. This is fun. I'm getting to see people. I'm getting to, expose my personality to people, and I like, I'm a workaholic too, I have to admit. So I do
have to be.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And so literally I was like, you know what? I think this is for me. And again, being at that right place at the right time, the guy asked me to move up to Charlotte. I was in Columbia, South Carolina to work on a new I didn't know he was working on a new concept. And says, okay, I need somebody to be kind of like my GM. Once I moved into that, it was either you're in or you're out. That was kind of the line in the sand of saying, you're going to do this, or you're going to go back to your banking background and just do that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in.
So once you went from South Carolina to North Carolina, Charlotte to Atlanta, moving here, what was the response from the community when you decided to pick Ashburn?
Unbelievable. Okay. I did not know a whole lot. In fact, when we got the property with a friend of mine was like, we're just gonna flip this property, because flew into little downtown Leesburg, drove down through here. This was 2011. I'm like, there's nothing. I just came out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's no hotels. This is not gonna work. And then after I started watching and looking, I'm like, you know what? I'm going for it. These people are going down to DC, thus there came the name. So I said, let me first register the name, boom, approved right away. Wow, okay, maybe that's a sign. And then just literally, again, I was concerned more of staffing, being this far out. But what I found out was the same philosophy with the customer was, I had these talented people driving to DC to work, having to pay money to park and all that. They was living out here. So I'm like, oh, didn't think about that.
Building, it takes risk. It takes, for you, I know you might look at this restaurant and say, oh man, it's phenomenal. He's got this, he's got that. But I know that it's taking risks for you to get to this point. So those risks, did you ever have any doubt, getting through this role?
Absolutely, 100%. Here's my story I tell everyone, and this is the easiest way that I can equate to anyone starting their own business, opening up a new thing, doing thing. I've never personally jumped out of an airplane, but I relate it to jumping out of an airplane. You have to do your research, you have to do your training, you have to diligently pack that chute or trust someone that through that has packed that chute with you, right? And then you get up to the door of that airplane and you're like, oh, there's no backing out now. You jump. And once you jump, there's about 20 seconds, like I said, I'm pulling the chute. It opens or it doesn't. And if you've done your research and you're willing to put your time into it and you've studied and packed your chute properly, it's gonna open. And so that's basically how I relate. And so, that's scary. That 30 seconds to some people might be a year. It might take you a year to get your stuff going. But if you've done it right and you're willing to stay with it, that chute will open.
I know you said, after 8 months in the restaurant industry, you knew that, hey, I could actually be pretty good at this. But if it wasn't the restaurant industry, what other profession would you think?
Man, when I grew up as a kid, I absolutely loved the outdoors, being in sports.
Okay. And
I had worked at a couple of landscaping companies through my high school years. And I'm like, you know what, man, I really like this too, because it was tangible. Right? You did something. You spent time building something or making something for someone. And again, the harder you worked on that. So it's almost kind of the same. I said, you know what? But I said I wanted to own a landscaping company. I said, I want to own a landscaping company. That's what I wanted to do. I said, I'm going to own a landscaping company.
The restaurant industry is so unique because everybody needs food to live. And it provides such a family aspect. And DC Prime being an upscale restaurant, you still feel that family aspect of an experience. For you, how did you incorporate all of that? Why do you think people find that family experience here at DC Prime?
It's twofold. Number one, you got to surround yourself with the right people. I mean, if you got to be able to have those people that believe in what you believe in, right? And number two is you have to do it. Attitudes and personalities are just like colds. They're very contagious. So if you've got that personality and you're exhuming it yourself, it will flow into your staff. You're always going to have a bad hire here and there. You just kind of have to, it's like a cold. Take the medicine, clean it up, and get rid of it. Right.
What's your greatest gratification being a business owner?
There's no better feeling than on any given night when you're walking around the dining room and you're full and everybody is having a good time. You're able to touch the tables, everything's in sync of what you're doing. There's no better high for say or whatever it is. I mean, that is like euphoria. When you like, this is why I do this. This is why I work 1 billion hours a week. This is why you work the weekends, you work the holidays, you work all those times. But when that happens on a nightly basis and daily, weekly basis, that's like, okay, that's it. I create that experience when they walk out and I shake their hand and say, wow, we had a good time. Not that, oh, the food was great. we had a good time. That means more to me than anything.
Would you say that stems your motivation for, waking up every morning, coming into work?
Absolutely, 100%.
For somebody, that's on the borderline of wanting to start their own business, and, saying, hey, I want to do it, but, I'm not, just on the fence. What would be your advice for them?
It's a couple things, right? You cannot be scared to fail, because you're going to fail at things. I can't tell you it. 26 years later, I still make mistakes. You got to do your homework. You got to find a niche. You got to be able to provide something people want, right? And then you got to be willing to live it. And I don't mean you can have. I've been married 25 years too. I mean, there's a balance you can have, but whatever you choose to do, you choose to do it, and you have to be willing to live it.
What's the future of DC Prime?
I don't know. I said in the beginning that this is it. I'm gonna do this, and that's it. But it's been so successful, and everybody keeps coming. I don't know.
For somebody who wants to get into the restaurant industry, what would you tell them that they probably don't know, outside looking in?
That most people think that it's you see the front side. You see the people coming in, and you're like, wow, look how busy this place is. They must be making a killing. You have no idea how hard it is to get a restaurant to that point. It's a lifestyle. And if you're not, like I said, back to the beginning, if you're not willing to put everything you got into it, especially the first 2 years, you cannot get over a bad opening in a restaurant. There's one on every corner. Yeah. A good opening and being consistent is critical.
And lastly, I always say there's a plot to every story. So what would be just your personal storyline?
I love what I do. I have buddies and college roommates, and even people I see that come through the restaurants that don't fully love what they do. They do it as a job, and they do well at it, and some of them like it pretty good. I love what I do. I've had many opportunities to get out of this industry. I can't. It's who I am.
Perfect. Rick, thank you so much.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you.
Hope it was helpful.